My name is Sam Smith. I'm a sergeant with the Evansville Police Department. What made me want to become an officer is I had 2 degrees in criminal justice, and the main thing that drove me was I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to help people, be an example, be a role model. I kind of like action, and I kind of want to be, being a police officer is kind of neat because you're on the front line of everything that's going on. And it's one of the jobs that you can make a difference at the lower levels. And that's one of the most satisfying things about being a police officer. About 8 years ago, I was working a side job. I was over at 2-Bit Bandit, working keeping the parking lot clear, making sure that people weren't parked there illegally. And I heard somebody racing up and down Theater Drive, and every now and then you get these drag racers. And I saw this car, and it wasn't going so fast, but it was just kind of loud. It drew my attention to it. Going a little fast for the conditions with families crossing the street. It was an older model car, so I got behind it, and it made a right turn onto Morgan, and I pulled the car over and put on the lot of some business, and right away I see the driver and the passenger switch places. So I walk up there to the passenger side, pull the guy that I saw that was driving the car, immediately pat him down, put him in handcuffs. I don't know who he is or what's going on. And right away he tells me, he says, "Officer," he said, "I shouldn't have been driving." I said, "Why not?" He said, "Well, I'm out on parole." Now what parole is that when a person is serving time in prison, if they're behaving well, they're going to be released within a year. And so usually what they'll do is they'll let them go home and serve out the rest of their sentence in the community with their family, get their jobs back, reestablish their lives, as long as they don't get in trouble with the law. What this man did was he was driving without a driver's license. He was in clear violation of the law. Now I checked the other 3 people, each one had a driver's license, and I said to myself, "Why in the world were you driving?" He said, "Well, this car's kind of older." He said, "It's kind of knocking, I'm a mechanic." He said, "I had to get the feel of it to get it running right." And I said, "But you broke the law." He said, "I know." He says, "Officer," he said, "if you write me a ticket," he said, "I'll be in violation of my parole." He said, "My wife here, we found out she's pregnant, and I want to be with her during this time. And if you write me a ticket," he said, "I'll go back to prison." Well, it's one of the things I thought about, and I had to really evaluate, was this violation really worth sending a man back to prison? Yes, technically he broke the law. He shouldn't be driving. But the consequences is not just a ticket, it's him going back to prison. So I went ahead and gave him a warning, talked to him about what a big break he was going to get, and forgot about it. About 1.5 years, 2 years later, I'm working the fall festival, and I'm walking my beat, and I hear somebody yell, "Hey, officer." I look behind me, and I see this man pushing a stroller. Now, I meet hundreds of people each year. I didn't recognize him. And he said, "Officer, you remember me?" I said, "Not really." He said, "I'm the guy that you stopped for driving without a driver's license, and I was on parole." He said, "I want you to know," he said, "I got my life back together." He said, "I'm a bricklayer. I'm making $25 an hour." He said, "This is my son." And I saw the cutest little guy in this little stroller. And he said, "If you would have written me that ticket and I went back to prison," he said, "I would have missed a lot of my life." He said, "But I want to thank you for giving me a break."